All right, today we're going to dig into something really fascinating, and let's be honest, pretty controversial. It's a guide from an author named Patrick J. Kelly, and it's called A Practical Guide to Free Energy Devices. And believe me, this thing is a massive compilation of ideas and inventions that basically challenge everything we think we know about energy.
So the whole thing really boils down to this one simple question. Can you actually get more energy out of a system than the energy you, the user, have to put in to make it run?
Now, the answer we all learned in school is a hard no. I mean, it seems to fly in the face of a core principle of physics, the law of conservation of energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed, right?
We all know that law. But according to this guide, it might not be the whole story. So let's take a look at how the author thinks about this fundamental concept in a different way.
Patrick Kelly uses a really simple analogy here. Think of the law of conservation of energy like a bank vault. It's pretty obvious you can't take out more money than what's actually inside, right? In science, this is what we call a closed system. Nothing new is coming in from the outside.
But here's where the guide makes its crucial point. What if we're not dealing with a closed system at all? What if all we need is a simple shift in perspective?
Look at this. On the left, you've got a glass of water. That's a closed system. You can only pour out the water that's already in there. Simple enough. But on the right, that same glass is under a running tap. Suddenly, it's an open system. It can keep pouring out water pretty much forever because it's constantly being refilled from an outside source.
Okay, so to talk about this idea, the guide introduces a really key term, coefficient of performance, or COP. Now, this is not the same thing as efficiency. COP is very specific. It's the ratio of the power you get out divided by the power you, the operator, have to put in. And this is the critical distinction. Efficiency measures the total energy in versus the total energy out, and that can never go over 100%. But COP? Well, think about it. If the user puts in zero power to make the system run and you still get something out, then mathematically, the COP is infinite.
So the obvious question is, if you're not putting the power in, where is it coming from? The guide suggests we are literally surrounded by untapped energy fields. Now, I have to say, this is the guide's central argument, and it is in direct opposition to mainstream science. But let's just follow the author's logic and see where he goes with it.
The guide gives us a great little puzzle here, a simple crystal radio. No batteries, no plug, just a couple of basic parts. And yet, it makes sound. If you just look at it by itself, it really seems like it's creating energy from nothing. So where's the power coming from? Well, the answer is that it's an open system. It's tapping into an external energy source, the radio waves being broadcast all around it from a transmitter. You, the user, put in zero power, but the radio is literally pulling energy out of its environment to create that sound. The solar panel is another fantastic example from the guide. Now, its energy efficiency is actually pretty low, maybe somewhere around 17 to 20%, but what's the user input? Absolutely nothing. You just put it in the sun. So, the guide argues, its COP is infinite. It's a perfect open system pulling power directly from the sun. Now, the bulk of this guide, which is nearly 3,000 pages long, is basically a massive catalog of devices that the author claims all work on this very principle. It's this incredible collection of strange and often forgotten inventions.
For example, Chapter 1 dives into devices that claim to use the invisible power of permanent magnets to create motion, just on and on, with no external power needed.
Then you get to Chapter 4. And it's all about systems that are designed to pull energy from gravity, using things like cleverly unbalanced flywheels and super precise pendulum gadgets.
Chapter 7 gets into aerial systems. This stuff is very reminiscent of Nikola Tesla's work. These are designs that are meant to literally pull electrical energy right out of the air around us.
And that's just scratching the surface. I mean, the guide goes on to detail hundreds of other devices, solid-state generators, weird battery chargers, you name it. And they're all based on this one core idea, an open system tapping into the energy that's all around us.
You know, the author's main point here isn't just about these wild devices. It's really about questioning our own rigid acceptance of what we call scientific laws. There's a quote from the author that just sums this up perfectly. He points out that according to the early laws of aeronautics, bumblebees couldn't possibly fly. Of course, the bees didn't get the memo. The issue wasn't with the bees. It was that the laws were incomplete.
His point is that scientific laws are just our best theories at the moment, and they're always open to being expanded.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. Whether you believe these devices are possible or not, the guide really forces you to ask, are the scientific laws we learn in textbooks the absolute final word, or are they just one chapter in a much bigger story that is still being written?